know who needs to hear this, but here you go. You deserve to feel better than you do today.
This is the Truth Frequency Radio Network. We are TFR. Truth Frequency Radio.
Live from Melbourne, Australia, and all around the world, wherever you may be. I'm your host, Nikki Colombo, and welcome to the Nikki Colombo Show. This show is all about starseeds and ET contact and all the amazing indigos out there. And tonight we have a very special guest coming on, Laura Lee Mistycah. Now, Laura Lee Mistycah has been a holistic health practitioner for over 4 decades. As a reflexologist, a medical intuitive, rapid eye therapist, and muscle skeletal balancer, she also developed a variety of innovative healing methods. Many she can do remotely. Her work has taken her beyond the fringe in order to find the answers to why people are sick and crazy. Well, we know why they're bloody crazy at the moment anyway. She has also been a professional ghostbuster for over 2 decades, and she calls herself a weird shit specialist, and even has that on her business card. That's funny, isn't it? She is the author of 5 books, and we're going to talk about that probably in the second half of the show. And her main focus is working with first wave indigos. I really want to talk about that because I'm right into the indigos at the moment, especially those who have been used in MK Ultra. Yes, MK Ultra. And with me, my lab. I'm an indigo MyLab experiencer. And the secret space programs. And Laura Lee recently released the online Knights Training Academy course to help people clear implants, programming, curses, and do timeline soul retrieval. She uses and distributes the I'm going to have to ask her how she says that. How do you say that, Laura?
Almoricite.
Thank you, Stone of Truth and Justice. I love that, which has literally changed the world. So, Laura Lee Mistycah, thank you for coming on the show. Darling, welcome. How are you going?
Oh, doing good. Now that we finally got on here, it was a little rough getting here, but we're here, so it's all good.
Yes, okay, darling. We, you know, the stuff that we talk about, I'm not surprised that we get a little bit of interference, but do you know what? Eventually, that interference kind of nicks off, and we have control, and we do eventually get the info out. So, darling, tell us about how this all started for you.
Oh, it's been several decades.
Are you that old?
Yeah, I'm like, I just turned 20, okay.
You got a great time. Like, hey, it's all in the mind, isn't it, darling? You know, it doesn't matter how old you are. It's the experience that you've had.
Yeah, that's funny. My take on the whole indigo saga is way different than everybody else, probably. The way I understand it, indigos came from a place called the ultraviolet realm. And that's why they kind of look indigo-ish, because they have that in their energetic field.
Mm-hmm.
And
in
there
their aura
is
too? Their aura has, yeah.
So yeah, they emanate this, and it's not just blue, it's got that purple in it too, like an ultraviolet light. You know,
yes.
It's got both colors. It's not just blue.
Yeah.
And there is a training center in the ultraviolet realm inside the hologram, and then there's also one outside the hologram that many indigos here, well, not many, but there's 1,200 from outside this hologram that snuck in and are here to help out. And so we got some, some that are indigenous to this hologram and some that snuck in. And something else that snuck in was the Almoricite Stone of Truth and Justice. They were able to get that through a back door. It was dormant for eons, just sitting there waiting for us. And then when enough indigos came to this planet and were starting to wake up, then the Almoricite was found. And the story behind that is quite interesting. I was in touch with a guy that he was kind of a gemologist, and he was excavating all sorts of gems, and he was really into that. And he was also an ex-military man. He was special forces, and
That's
he
interesting.
came to my house one day and he said, "Say
Yeah,
what?"
that's interesting, because my perception of military people don't really have much kind of spirituality. So that's interesting to find that that's a good
Yeah.
sign, isn't it? That's a really good sign.
Well, it is. There's a few out there. So so he said he had all these rocks in the back of his truck, and he says, "I think I found gold." And I kind of held it and stuff, and I said, "You've found gold, but it's not what you think." And I started doing research on it, and it's got everything on the planet in it and then some. There were things when we had it assayed that it's not even, they didn't even know what it was. And so I was working with this guy, and I said, it's the stone of truth. I mean, that's what this is. And this was back like in the early 90s, and I didn't know hardly anything about anything back then. That was back when I was just a young'un. And so
I hadn't even woken up by then, darling. I woke up in 2007, so I'm definitely a late starter.
well, see, that's because the stone had to wake you up. Okay.
Exactly.
So
Yes.
we did this ceremony to, we had it in this storage place, and so in these bags and stuff. And so I kind of did this ceremony to wake it up, and then it's just been flourishing ever since. Well, what I found out later, I didn't realize then. I didn't even know about indigos at that time. After the Stone of Truth came, then the indigos could start waking up, and they started waking up in force around the turn of the century. Now, before that, the internet, until the internet came on, we couldn't really collaborate with each other. It was, through letters. Yeah, come on, that takes forever. So what was happening?
Snail mail does not have the same impact as being on the
No,
internet, does it?
no.
Isn't
So
it
what
amazing how the internet has really gathered us all together, and we've just exploded
Yes.
with our information and everything like that? I just find that absolutely fascinating, and the timing and everything.
It is. And so what happened is the first wave of indigos, the majority of them came in or were born between 1969 and 1987. Now, there was another chunk, the boomers back in the late 40s, 50s, early 60s, but not as many as from 69 to 87. Then they kind of tapered off, and now we've got the second waivers coming in. It's like we were the wake breakers, and then we're kind of teachers and kind of mentors to the younger ones that are coming in and coming online again. So it's in the beginning, everybody thought it was just indigo children, and I was working with some of my colleagues and my clients, and I'm like, you know what? There's more than just the indigo children. And that's when a lot of them were teenagers, and I'm like, who's helping the teenagers? And there wasn't a lot. All the focus was on these little indigo children, and the teenagers were just getting thrown under the bus. so I started kind of helping them and getting getting a group together to help them out. I got my website, and about 99, I think, is when I came online with that. And then I've just kind of been going at it ever since. And good news is I'm going to be getting a online chat room. Hopefully we'll have it in the next couple of weeks. So if your listeners want to sign up on my website to be get my emails, then they'll know when that's on. Which is the website is firstwaveindigos.com. And if you go in there, and it's a fun site. My webmaster is like a master.
Awesome.
So you go in there. It's fun. It's funny. It's crazy. And it tells you everything you need to know, and you can sign up there, and then you'll know when we actually get this forum online up and running. I've got a lot of things I'm doing right now. I'm trying to finish another book, and that should be available next month too. And I got to get that done before I can get the Indigo forum up. So I'm going as fast as my little legs can carry me, but we're getting there.
Aren't we busy, us light workers, indigo, spiritual people? That we knew this wave was going to kick in, and now everyone wants information. It's an incredible wave of awakening, and I just know that everyone's so busy at the moment because we've had that retrograde that's kind of stopped us and kept us back to relook at everything. But now I feel the energies are bursting to go forward, and kind of expanding. Do you feel that at the moment too in the field?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
And a lot of the work that I do behind the scenes that I don't really talk about, it's like it's getting exponentially better and more and easier. And it's like the psychic work and going on what I call ass soul hunts. It's getting easier, and I can get more of them, and and in one little swoop. And yeah, it's things are way easier. So I'm hoping that this will ripple out to everybody, and all the other indigos will start having an easier time, because we deserve it,
Absolutely. I found out something very interesting about myself. And recently, I kept asking myself, why has my life been so extreme? Like I talk to other people, and they go through their lives and they have a little bit of a drama, but mine has always been very extreme. And it wasn't until I had this AI taken out of me. It was a Nephilim line. I took that on as an indigo to try and attempt to heal that that line. And unfortunately, the experience was so extreme that we are now being released in brackets of our contracts now. We don't have to have a life, so our experience is a lot more softer now. Like I'd walk into a room and not do absolutely anything, and people would just project hate onto me, and I could understand that I was probably bringing up something in themselves, and and I know now that doesn't happen to me anymore because I've had a very good a complete clearing of my light body by a professional healer, and I've noticed my experience isn't so extreme anymore, and I fully understand that contract now. Even though I found out information that those contracts are starting to be dissolved. That was 10 years ago, but mine has just been recently dissolved. So if anyone is out there that is an indigo that has had a very extreme life, you might want to look into that, because you can now, by free will, dissolve those contracts and get rid of that AI or that line or whatever it is that is in you, in your DNA that you took on to try and attempt to heal that. So I just wanted to get that out. What do you think about that, Lorraine? It's fascinating.
Well, there's a lot of things, and that's the work that I do is helping people clear all of that stuff. Now, there is one thing that indigos need to understand, and that's that many of them are doing double agent work. And you can't know the other side until you've gotten up front and personal with them. So maybe for you, it was um, allowing yourself to be abducted or whatever so that you could get the goods on them and know how to take these corrupted systems down.
On. Absolutely. That was another thing I found out. You are correct about that. That's that's my correction. That's how I feel about it. Yeah, you are spot on through my own experience. Yeah. Yeah. No wonder we laughed and carried on so much with the test call. Talk about kindred spirits. Okay, that's that. I'm getting tingles at the moment. That has really hit home. I hope that hits home with other people too. That's amazing. I love that.
Well,
Thank you for that.
and it's true. And then at a certain point in time, when you have all the goods on them, then you can withdraw and you can take down those corrupted systems. And so it's not like you have to do it forever and ever and be a punching bag. You don't have to do that, but just understand that if your life is crazy and you don't know and it makes no sense, there is probably, once you understand what really happened, it'll make a whole lot of sense. It makes sense out of the senseless.
It sure
And
does.
and you're not crazy, just because you've been through crazy, just because you've been through 20 and backs and 10 and backs and 5 and backs and been abducted all over the place. Now, one thing that I have found that really helps, and when I talk about this, I get under so much crossfire, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Our astral bodies, we don't need them. It's just a bunch of bull caca. Okay. Our astral bodies are an overlay, just like our chakras are. There is nothing good in the astral realm. And when you go to sleep, there's plenty of places you can go besides the astral realm that is filled with nothing but asses. Okay, like
Absolutely.
serious.
I totally agree with you on that. And I also found out that us indigos are here to help other people understand that they don't have to reincarnate into the astral over and over and over and come back to Earth over and over again. And I've had experiences in the astral and it was bloody nuts. It's just nuts. Absolute bloody nuts. I thought, what am I doing here?
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, when me and my business partner, she passed away in 2008, and we were getting hit all the time. And we woke up one morning, and we both felt like we'd been hanging on a doll stand. Our armpits hurt and bruised, and like, what the heck has been going on? And so I checked into it, and I'm like, we were on the astral realm. And she says, do we have astral bodies? And I'm like, yeah. And she says, do we need them? And I checked, and it's like, no. And she said, well, let's get rid of them. So we did the implant removal protocol and got rid of them. And let me tell you, now some people have more than one. Some people have like 5. Some people have 10 astral bodies. So when you go after these suckers, you can't just get one and think you're all good. You have to make sure you know how many you have, or it just keeps happening. Now, what happened to me, I used to wake up with cuts and bruises and terrified and being chased all night. My hair was cut. I mean, just crazy stuff that would happen to me while I slept. Once I did that, that riffraff is cut like almost to zero. I very rarely ever have a nightmare, ever. Sometimes I have annoying dreams. They're just like, oh, that's lame. But I'm never chased and petrified, because what they do is they scare you while you're on the astral realm, and then they suck all that up, all that nice loosh, and then they sell it on the black market. And so you, by not getting rid of your astral body, are contributing to the loosh market. So it would be, so it's not only torturing you, but it's also making somebody a lot of money on the loosh market. So it's really for everybody's benefit to get rid of those, and the that's part of the night's training that has the information on how to do that. And it's not that hard. It doesn't take like years and years. You can do it in an hour. your first one where you don't know anything, you can do it in an hour. And I'm telling you, your life will change. And people think that they have to have an astral body or they can't dream at night. Well, that is a bunch of pigeon poopy. It's not true at all. There's many places that you can
go. Yes. Yes, besides
And
being trapped and then being told, oh, hey, you didn't do a good job. Oh, you better go back in and go round and round again. And it just,
oh,
we don't need that. You can tell that that realm is being controlled by
oh yeah,
somebody, and I know who
oh
that
yeah.
body is, and I'm not really going to say
Mm,
at the moment. I'll say later on, but you can. Let's just say that it's controlled,
It is. It is.
and you can get rid of it. You don't need to be a part of that. It's a trick.
No,
It's an
it is.
absolute trick.
It is. And the
Yeah.
New Age community just really, they're like the advertisement for it. Oh, your astral body. Oh, do this, do that. And it's like, no, 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 no. I have a real problem.
I had a dream, and now I have to play that dream out in this reality. Well, you don't.
You don't. You're
You
right.
know?
You absolutely
Well,
don't.
how many times someone said to me, I've said to them, I saw you in my dreams last night. I always get from the boys, oh, was it a hot, sexy one? It's always about sex, isn't it? Right? And it's like, no, you were in my dream. I wasn't dreaming about you. You were in my dream. Right?
You invaded my dream, okay?
Right, so I wasn't having hot, sexy dreams about you. Would just happen to be in there, which is the consciousness playing out, right? So, yeah, this is what I try and tell other people, that you do have other areas to go. You don't necessarily have to
Yes.
stay there and get locked into there and go round through these horrible nightmares and stuff like that. I think we're more free than what we really are. It's just that we don't realize how free we are, and that's why we keep miscreating, or why we keep creating this shitty matrix all the time. That's how I feel. What do you feel about that?
Totally. And my latest book that I just wrote, Cryogenetics 2, there's the first one came out about 6 years ago, and then this is the sequel to that, and it absolutely reiterates what you just said. It's like we have been so duped, and so it's like deer in headlights. We don't know what we're doing, and so we just like follow everybody. It's a bunch of malarkey, and until we really see what's under the covers, we're just going to keep being duped. So don't be afraid to do things that are different. Now, another thing that I have been working with people is the Kundalini snake. Now, everybody thinks, oh, a Kundalini experience is so awesome. Well, no, it's not. You've got this hissing, sneaky snake running up your back, and people think, oh, it's all about sex. You can have better sex, you blah blah blah. No. What you are is the snake's. Can you say the B word on this?
Yeah, darling, there's no censorship. You can say whatever you bloody well like.
Let me tell you one thing that my spirit guide Hal said. He said, when you're really afraid, remember, don't be fear's bitch.
Yeah. Exactly.
I think that is so funny. So the thing with the snake is, and I've got a lot of people that their life changed again after they got rid of the snakes. Now, sometimes there's more than one because they lay eggs. And the thing is, you can have these incredible experiences without being controlled by the snake. Now, one thing that snake does is it not only goes up to your head, but it also brings fear and all of the horrors that you've kept under lock and key. It can go up and get those and bring those back down. And when you're having sex with somebody, guess where that goes? It goes into them.
Yeah.
So you are getting way more than what you might have bargained for, and that's why it's really important to be real careful who you hang out with that way, because you could get way, way, way dumped on. Kundalini dumping is real, and it's not nice. And so when I first came out with this stuff, man, I got hammered so bad. Everybody was like, "You're just crazy," And the chakras, when I first came out with that's been like 15 years ago, and they're like, "Oh, you're crazy." And it's like, well, now more people are realizing that the chakras aren't all that in a bag of chips, and there is when you get rid of your chakras, your authentic system is your core star, which is right in your chest. Then you have a head star and a loin star. There should only be 3 star centers. And so you've got energy from your heart that goes up into your head like a figure 8. It goes around your brain, comes back down to the heart, goes down to the loins, does a figure 8, comes back up. So nothing from the head can go to the loins without passing through the heart first. And the same thing. It can't come up from the loins. Your creative energy cannot get up to the head without going through the heart. Now the chakra system was way different, and it could be bypassed, and one of the reasons that the snake was so prevalent is that it could go up your back and bypass your heart. So it didn't even enter into that. And so there's just a whole lot out there, and these books that I was telling you about, it has it in detail in there. The Knight's Training goes into detail on all of this stuff. And, if you're ready to go down the rabbit hole, like way, 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 way down, then you can come and take a look at what's going on here. So yeah.
Oh, now how about that? That's perfect timing. We're going to have a little
Perfect
break
timing.
and we're going to be back on the other side with the gorgeous Laura Lee Mistycah. So stick around, guys, and we will be back very soon.
Real people, real radio.
Initiating the truth frequency.
This is Truth Frequency Radio.
Break. Now we've got a caller online. I'm going to try and bring her on, Linda Schroeder. So let me just see if I can bring her on. She probably wants to ask a question. So just get rid of this and add to call list. I'll just see if I can get her on the line, guys.
Okay.
Hang on a minute. Can you hear me, Linda?
Probably not. Maybe she can put her question or something in the chat. Maybe.
Yeah, that would be. Try that, darling. Put a question in the chat line, and we'll get Laura to answer it. So anyway. Let's get back to you. We were talking about the chakras and everything like that. And in my case, my chakras have actually dissolved into my hara line right in the middle. So that's all gone. And I've had a Kundalini too. And it wasn't pleasant. And a lot of people kept asking me, has it got to do with sex and stuff? It had absolutely nothing to do with sex within my situation. Mine was just it woke me up. But my whole life just turned to absolute destruction. My whole reality actually disintegrated, and I had to rebuild my life back up again in a completely different way. It was not a pleasant experience at all, Laura, at all.
I know.
It was terrible, and
yeah.
I had nobody to turn to. Everyone thought I was nuts. I knew I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
nuts, and I knew that I could see things that other people couldn't see. That was
Mm-hmm.
the big one for me. For me, it was like I'd opened up my third eye or whatever. My cells. It was like it was like I had more of a communication with my inner cells, my cells of
Mm-hmm.
my body, and I could see things. And you know what else? It was great. The really good thing was that I could tell when people lying, or I could tell where there was truth and where there was bullshit. That was probably the biggest gift that I got with my awakening, and that's how I became, into truth seeking and seeking the truth and understanding myself. And I went on this great big journey, and I ended up coming back to myself. Looking at myself in the mirror and
Excellent.
going, wow, okay,
And
it's all about me. Why am I miscreating this world? Because I don't believe that I'm free when I am. It's amazing.
yeah, it's with everybody, it's different. The point of the snake is, see, and you kind of did your double agent work, because the point of the snake is to keep you imprisoned. And it sounds like somehow you were able to break through that in spite of it, and use it for a stepping stone instead of a stumbling block, because it
Yeah.
can make you crazy.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, hats off to you on that. I wanted to just finish talking about the rock a little bit,
Yeah, go for
because
it.
that is an indigo's best friend. So this this fellow that was a a miner. So we kind of were in business together, and trying to figure out how to get the rock out to the public. And that was back before the internet, and so it wasn't that easy. And then I got married to somebody that was another adventure, and and this guy didn't he and my husband at that time did not get along, so we kind of separated for a while. Then I got a divorce from him, and I went back and connected to this miner guy, and he had a heart attack, and he just had a lot of things that were challenging, and his entire supply of rocks got burned up in a fire. He just had a little bit left.
Wow.
And so
I didn't think rocks could burn.
he
Do they?
he
Do
gave
rocks
me,
burn?
well, these melted when you get these,
Oh.
because they have a lot of iron in them, and they just, when we were doing experiments with them, we thought, I wonder what it does when you torch it. And
Wow.
it just turned it normally it's really sparkly and vibrant, and when you burn it, when it melts, it just gets like a puddle of goo that's not sparkly. And the rock said to me, okay, now you know what they do. Don't ever, ever, ever do that again. And I'm like, okay, sorry. We won't do that. So anyway, I had a few rocks left, and he gave me some more. And then all of a sudden he was gone, and his phone was turned off. Nobody's seen him. No, it's just the weirdest thing. So the supply that I have is all that I know of. Okay, so I'm just saying. So, but
I hope
I've
you've got that under
enough
lock
to
and
last
key,
for
darling.
several years.
Hope
What
you've
was
got it
that?
under lock. Hope you've got it under lock and key.
Under lock and key. Well, it's funny when I send these rocks, like international, it says how much, what's the value, and I'm like, oh, they're worth their weight in gold, but I just put $5.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody to know
No.
what they're really worth. But these rocks are, since the stone of truth and justice, what I've been doing with the indigos, before they have a session with me, they have to do their homework, and they have to do their nightly service. And part of this nightly service is to grid someplace in your town that needs truth and justice. And when you go to the list, we have got grids all over the world, and some of the things that have changed after the rocks got placed are phenomenal. We've got one at the Vatican. Right after that, that's when
Well, they
the
definitely need
Vatican,
it, don't they?
yes, and that's when the stories started coming out about the priests, and before that it was all under lock and key, and now everybody knows that the Vatican's evil and corrupted.
Yep.
Okay, then we got one at in hold on a second, I got to get some water, hold on.
That was funny when she was talking about one of the Vatican guys. Yes. I've had a few
Okay,
incidences on Facebook about with people trying to, and I just, you know what I said to myself? You can't undrink the Kool-Aid.
that's right, that's right.
Once people have drunk the Kool-Aid, that's it. They're going to believe in all that, and it's staring in their faces, and
In
they're
their
still,
faces,
they're still
that's
making
right.
excuses for pedophilia. I'm sorry, but there's just absolutely no excuse for that, as far as I'm concerned. I don't care how bloody brainwashed you are.
Uh,
Look at it for what it is. The whole shit is
exactly,
evil.
it is.
Evil.
And so then we've got one at Washington D.C. Okay, or District of Columbia. Okay, we got one there, and then we got one at, in London. City of London's been
Yeah.
gridded.
Yeah.
Okay, and then recently, a few years ago, someone surprised me and said, "Oh, I took a trip to the North and the South Pole and put a big rock on both poles."
Wow.
And since then, things have stepped up exponentially. It with truth coming out and people waking up, and it's just been phenomenal. So when you go to my website and you look and see all of these places that, oh, and Monsanto just got gridded like last month.
Oh.
Yay!
Wow.
I was thrilled. I was so happy about that. Oh, and they let's see, some of the when you, there's stories behind a lot of these grids that after it was done, extreme evidence of corruption came out.
Mm.
So that'll be kind of fun to go check that out. Well, then the rocks have a spiritual aspect. And it's what I call the cryogenetics egg. And it looks like an egg with a DNA helix going down the center. And there's a star at the top and a diamond at the bottom, and then some geometrical shapes around the side. Well, this egg is the spiritual aspect of the rock. And when I work with my clients, I have them imagine this egg, and they can step into it or have it come over them, and it's a protective protocol, and you can get in it and say, take some breaths and say, can you please clean me out? And sometimes I hear a vacuum go on. I mean, it's that cool. And then when the debris hits the shell, it's neutralized. Now the eggs have been upgraded and upgraded and upgraded, and each time the dark lords upgrade their systems, well, the eggs are upgraded like 5 times more. And we call the egg now the badass egg. Okay. Because it really is. And some of the egg stories are amazing. I didn't know much about the eggs, like at the turn of the century, and I was working with my Ghostbuster partner, and we both got the intuition that we needed to go help the ghosts at right after 9/11. It was like 3 days after that had
Oh,
happened,
wow.
and
Okay.
we needed to go to the Twin Towers because there was all sorts of stuff going on there. And so we sat there, and we could see like a net over the Twin Towers, and what it was
Wow.
doing is making everybody relive their pain and suffering over and over and
Oh.
over and over, and it put them in a loop. And
Oh.
so we're like, what how can we fix this? And this net was like evil. It was like electromagnetic, so it was really hard. Like spirits could not get through it. It was a trap. It was a spirit trap. And I know other psychics that had seen that net. Well, what we did is we went in, and we had just learned that the egg could do this kind of stuff. We didn't know this before then, but we went in and we egged. We had a bunch of eggs, and they were like um, little transporters, and we got, there was tons of eggs, right? Because there was tons of people there. And the eggs, we put them all in there, and then the eggs would float up and float through the nets to beings on the outside that were qualified to help them go where they need to go. Now the eggs, if you don't know what to do with them, you know, if you're trying to help a spirit or something, you can put them in the egg, and the egg knows where to take them. Not everybody goes to the same place. And when you die, the white light is like a bunch of pigeon doo-doo. It's a recycle center that,
Yeah.
you get shoved right back in here.
Attached
If
to
you
the solar plexus is a cord, apparently, that goes straight into the astral. That keeps us going around. That's the tunnel people see. They're taking straight to the astral, where we get just recycled. Have you heard about that?
Yes.
Okay.
And there's so many traps. It's not just one. They've got traps and traps, and
Oh, God.
they're always looking for new traps. When you put somebody in the cryogenetics egg, they cannot hack it. They cannot hack the egg, and the egg is free to take them. And the egg is so intelligent, it knows where they need to go, because people, I call them earth people, they would go somewhere different than indigos would. Indigos would have to be transported back to the ultraviolet realm, and earth people would go somewhere else. Most of the time they need to go somewhere for rehab, because they need to get it's like, I don't even know what the word is.
Cleaned out?
Cleaned up, but
Yeah.
all the brainwashing gone.
Yes.
It's like they need to get totally re-educated. And so, just for your listeners, when you go on my website and you see the egg, and when you know about the egg, it really calms you down, because you think, if I die, what's going to happen? Am I going to get duped? Well, there's a lot of duping out there, and if you put yourself in an egg, it knows where to go and how to get you through this stuff. So at the Twin Towers, when we did this, it was able to get through the nets, and I know that it made the Dark Lords really not happy, because this was a humongous loosh machine, humongous. The
Yes.
terror over and
Taking
over again.
Taking
Oh,
their
yeah.
foodie snacks away. That's why.
Yes.
Have you seen? I've seen some footage of the smoke after 9/11. All these demonic entities in the smoke.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yes, yeah, it's pretty creepy. It's really creepy, and
That-
there's
In our face, guys, in our face, and all the loosh that from that day. Oh my God.
Well, what was interesting about this is, at the very end, the first responders and the firemen, they stayed until everybody else was out, and then we watched them help each other into the egg, and then the egg floated them away. It was so heart-touching to see that.
So beautiful, and I'm sure a lot of people will get a lot of healing of hearing about that, because a lot of people who have got relatives left, they're still traumatized by all of that, and if they hear that their souls have actually been,
They are okay. Everybody that was in
that's
in there
What a
is
beautiful
fine.
gift
And
you've done.
do you
What
know
an
what we
amazing thing you've done, darling. That is incredible work. I'm
Well,
so blessed
one of
that
the things that we saw too, and this is interesting, is we saw fish, a lot of fish. So apparently there was aquariums, and so the little fish got to got to be okay too, And there was a few animals, and there was some children there. I don't know if they had daycare centers or something there, but there was children, animals, and fish. Quite a few fish. So everybody and everything that was involved in that loosh machine is okay. So that should, right. If you have relatives that you wonder, they're fine. They're
Oh,
fine.
what a beautiful thing you've done. That's just amazing. That's incredible. That's amazing. That's
So,
real healing, isn't it? On a
well,
really
it
big
is
level, on a huge level.
a deep level, and when you start working with the egg and getting a personal relationship with it, it will talk to you, it will help you out, it will, in cryogenetics too, it tells you all the modules that the cryogenetics egg can go into. And I'll tell you one of them, and we just learned about this, I don't know, maybe a year ago. And it's a modality that that when you say these magic words, and I'll tell you in a minute, it in the star at the top starts to spin, and it goes after ass souls. You know, if you've got some assholes on your back and they just keep coming back and back and back, call on this egg, and I'll tell you the magic words in a minute. It goes to them, drills into them, and puts truth and justice juice in them.
Oh,
Now, how
beautiful.
cool is that? Is that
Oh,
like
that's,
cool or what?
oh yeah.
So,
Wow.
and
We
then there's
we need a counteract to the Kool-Aid, don't we?
yes, yes. So then there's another magic word that will make these eggs go up the food chain to their boss, their boss's boss, to their, to the whole networks. The magic word is, and get this, screw you, loser. The other magic word is up yours, loser. Okay? Now, now the thing is, you cannot say the F word. If you say the F word, it takes you down to the porn vibration. It has to be screw, because that's literally what the egg's star
Oh,
is doing, is screwing into it.
I get it.
And it makes you feel, it's instant relief from assholes that are on your tail when you do this. I mean, Nikki, try it. Like the next time you feel somebody, or something on you and just trying to drag you down, say that and you will feel instantly better.
Thank
And
you for that.
maybe in 20 minutes you have to do it again. Sometimes I have to say it 20 times a day, sometimes just 5, sometimes 80. It just depends on who's on my tail at the time. But you're doing something proactive to not just get away from them, but to actually do something to fix the problem.
Like neutralizing it.
Yes, yes. And if you put truth and justice into them, they'll get whatever they need.
Which is truth and justice, which is they're going to have to face their own bullshit and look in the mirror and go, hey, how did I contribute to this? And that's very hard to do, isn't it? I love that that saying by Carl Jung, people will do anything to avoid facing their own soul. And that has been my mantra for a really long time, because it's hard to look in the mirror and go, hey, you really fucked up there. You really need to do something about that. And it's like most people run away and try to cover it up, or try and make it. And you never heal when you keep covering up things with more lies and lies and lies. And so really having a good look in the mirror and just saying to yourself, I am my probably one of my lowest times. I came up with this saying of, like, I look in the mirror and I say, you are your own best friend. You are the only person that you can really rely on right now.
Yes.
And go back into the heart and stop projecting out, looking for answers. They're going to take you back inside anyway,
Well, maybe a lot of times looking for answers will take you on finding some guru that's going to take you down a path to Neverland.
Been there, done that, darling. And so is a lot of people, a lot of friends of mine done the same thing, because we're looking on the outside for love when we find that love on the inside. It's just like you look for that guru because you're in that situation and you're vulnerable, but in actual fact that that you're vulnerable, and people take advantage of that. Once you pull that back, you become your own powerful person, because you're not projecting and giving your power away to somebody else, which is just going to take advantage of you, because you think that they're as trustworthy as you, and they're not. They love lapping it up because they're full of ego. They haven't worked on their ego layers. And I see that and hear that a lot of times, because people don't understand to go within, and they project on the outside looking for something, a savior that's going to help them. And that's how
a savior a savior or a god.
And that's how
Everybody-
cults start.
Yes,
That's
yes,
how cults
yes.
will start, and they all dress the same, sound the same, look the same. This person said this person said that. Hang on a minute. How about what you say?
Exactly.
Go into the heart and find out what you are learning about yourself. You have that DNA in there, and everything's in there. You just got to search for it. But I guess everyone has to learn, don't they, Laura? We all, like, a lot of us have gone through this. But now is the time. We don't have time for all this bullshit anymore. The energetics here are to bypass all that. There's enough information out there for people to avoid all that stuff. And that's why, I love doing my shows, to help people to avoid the pitfalls that I fell into. Over and over again.
Yes.
Oh my God, talk about stumble and
Yes.
fall.
It's like, you don't have to go there. Don't do that.
Yeah.
It's not good there. Don't
not,
go.
It's not healthy there. All right, well,
No,
listen, darling,
I
we've
hear
got
you.
about 3 minutes left until we're finishing the show. So let's talk about your books and your websites, and so people can get in contact with you and all that sort of stuff and all that kind of stuff. So go for it.
Okay, yes. Okay. So I have several websites, but you can access them through firstwaveindigos.com.
Mhm.
And you can get the shopping cart is called the treasure chest. Okay.
Oh,
It's
that's
really fun to
gorgeous.
go in there and look. And you can get that's where you can get the rocks, and you can understand about the eggs. And then I have a YouTube channel, and that's there's links to that from my website also. And I just recently finished another book called The Anatomy of the Porn Vibration, What They Didn't Teach You in Sunday School.
I love that.
And
Oh
that
my God.
book is out of this world, because everything is meshed with the porn vibration here. It is so hard to find anything that hasn't been infiltrated with the porn vibration. It's not funny. Purity is like a endangered species, and there's not that much of it, because the porn vibration has infiltrated everything on this planet.
Yeah.
And it talks about that and how to get out of it. It's not just, okay, we're doomed, we might as well just hang it up. It gives you step by steps on what to do to get out of it. And it's not just people that are addicted to porn that are affected by it. It affects everybody. So that book's in there, and that's and one thing that's cool right now. Those 2 books are just on ebook form, but with ebook form you can get the robot to read it to you, but they will be coming out. They will be coming out in paperback form, like in the next couple of months. So those will be there ready. So yeah, just come, and if you have questions, write to me, and I'll try to write back in a timely manner. And yeah, and it'll be fun. And oh, I have to tell you about my spirit guide, Hal. You find out who he really is in cryogenetics too. I didn't know until just recently what his real identity was, and it's it tells you what that is, and it's really funny, because Hal's a cosmic jokester. He says, we got to laugh and lighten up, or we are going to be so screwed. We are never going to get through this. And that is so true. I really see the wisdom in his humor. So all of that is in there. Just come and visit the site, and it's a lot of fun.
Well, darling, thank you so much for coming on tonight. It was an absolute blessing to talk to you. And I will talk to everybody next week. Thanks for joining the show, guys. I'll be starting up a Patreon soon, and I'll get that information out, and I'll be putting the links in